Welcome in, everybody. It's a dangerous one today. It's Jeff Solo Dolo. You know, that's trouble sometimes. But welcome into Studio De Jeffrey. Welcome into the home of the Pool Fund. Welcome into your home for the most ADHD Cowboys conversation ever. I'm Jeff.
My name is Jeff.
Cavanaugh! And I know a lot of people, I see it in the comments and in the chat, are tired of Jeff always playing the same stupid audio during a show. But I'll never stop.
Now this is a hot dog bun.
I think it's a hot dog, too.
It's my favorite. Is my favorite. All right, we got all sorts of stuff. Daniel Jeremiah updated his top 50 after the combine, which I think is useful because it gives us a glimpse into what NFL teams think. Because I will tell you, the guys who do these rankings nationally aren't just doing rankings of this is what I think. I don't believe. I think they're talking to people in the league and they want to be right and they want to have the guys in the order they get picked. Shout out to my DLLS mug, which does not have coffee in it. It has fruit punch energy drink. Vach lame for not showing up. That's not true. I gave Vach 20 minutes warning because I texted Broaddus this morning. I didn't realize he was traveling today. And I asked Vach in a reply on Twitter if he wanted to pop on. He said, I can't be on in 25 minutes. That's fair. He's going to be on the DLLS Cowboys podcast later on today, okay? Vach is the best. But yeah, I need you guys in the chat. If I don't have you guys in the chat interacting with me, I don't remember how to broadcast solo. Forgotten how. Don't know what I'm doing anymore. I like the idea of just blasting off the invite to all your football friends. I thought about that. I thought about just firing off a generic tweet and just see what Cowboys content creator would be available in the next 20 minutes to do a show, but I decided not to. We'll talk about Maxx Crosby. We'll talk about free agency. We'll talk about the NFL draft. We got all these different things. Ken said we need to trade for Maxx. I don't care about those picks. Give me proven players, and I think that's a fair point. I think I saw Vach is now on the train of 12 and 20 for Maxx, and I see it both ways, which is very Jeff, isn't it? I was told in radio we're supposed to have an opinion, and I never had hard opinions. I was like, yeah, but people are faking those. I don't believe in those. I just want to talk about sports. Williams read all the books on my shelf. I love fantasy books. Can't help it. Although I will tell you, these ones, that's Dungeon Crawler Carl. Much like miniseries, I thought the first few books were incredible. And by the time I got to where it is currently at, the last two books, I was like, we might be doing too much. Osa and 20 for Maxx. See, now we're probably cooking. I may be in on that. I'd be in on that. So here's the thing. Will the guys you pick at 12 and 20 impact your ability to win football games next year more than Maxx Crosby by himself? I think the answer is no, and I'm very confident in that. I think Maxx Crosby helps you more than both 12 and 20. But then we have to remember the point of the NFL draft. And if all you care about is winning next year, then go ahead. If that's the only thing, then go ahead. But I want to hearken back to what Jerry said when they traded Micah Parsons. And this does come with a caveat that I believe everything he said after trading Micah Parsons was attempting to justify something that didn't make sense on the football side. Nobody wanted to accept Jerry, and it's because Jerry was mad. But the whole point, according to him, was that amount of money to a pass rusher could get us now 5 players. You just going to do the exact opposite and downgrade the pass rusher you had while giving up the same compensation to pay a guy a bunch of money? It doesn't make sense based on what he told us about the trade. I'm not bringing back the buzz cut look, Matt. I've seen you ask this for months. I'm not doing it. So yeah, you want to do stuff that makes football sense. The point of the draft is supposed to be to get you cost-controlled players for at least 4 years that can help you win, right? And all of the teams that are successful, all the teams that win the Super Bowl, they do all add in free agency and or trades, but they also have a core of young talent, which is the reason you have enough depth. The reason that you're not, 4 guys trying to win the Super Bowl is because you also draft well. The Cowboys haven't done that. We're going to keep giving away the picks. The Rams will do it. They'll give away their first-round picks, but go look at what else they do. They still crush it in the draft. They've just been hot. They've been crushing it. So when it comes to Maxx, what are the odds that Maxx Crosby is going to be a Cowboy? I will say the official Jeffrey number, 32%. that Maxx Crosby is going to be a Cowboy? 31%, 32%, 31%, 29%, somewhere in that range. I believe that the Cowboys are going to come out of the beginning of free agency, if you want to count Maxx, trading for Maxx as part of free agency. I do believe that they're going to come out of that time period, the first week of free agency, with a real player, not a $4 million signing, not a late round pick trade for a failed first round pick. I think they'll come out of it with a real player. And I think the odds are high that that real player is a pass rusher. So whether it's Maxx, whether it's Trey Hendrickson, whether it's, and what I'll tell you what I don't want Trey Hendrickson on a 1-year deal. Like, I do want this team to be trying to win the Super Bowl, but I don't want to be parking big salary cap numbers on a 1-year deal where you can't fiddle fart it. Odafe Owe, Boye Mafe, Jalen Phillips. I do think the Cowboys will come out of the beginning of free agency with at least a real player, which is different than usual. I think that's going to happen. The odds of it being Maxx, I think considerably below 50%, but I don't think it's impossible. According to Trey Wingo, the Cowboys, was it last night or the night before, thought they were getting close to getting Maxx Crosby. Is Trey Wingo making that up? I don't know. I don't think he would. And then other teams got involved. There are reports that they want 2 first-round picks and a player. No. Jane Slater reported that the Cowboys are just saying we're not going to give up 2 first-round picks. And I support that. At some point, we got to have guys who can play that you don't have to have all of them making $30 or $40 million, right? We got to do something there. Is Devin Lloyd a real player? Yeah, Devin Lloyd counts. He's dangerous because there's a reason they didn't pick up his 5th-year option. 3 years into the league, they didn't think that Devin Lloyd was worth picking up the 5th-year option. Then in year 4, he just went ham. Excuse me. Now he gets to benefit. Adams in the super chat, which I appreciate, goes towards the pool fund. We're at 21.6. 3-year window, Crosby and hired guns. If not, draft 12 and 20 and find 2 edges that are better than what we have. That is a priority. We got to find guys who can rush the passer. Official Jeffrey range sounds scientific. 29 to 32%. That's the odds of getting Maxx Crosby. Sadiqa says 0. Jeff, Cowboys not matching Brandon deals, so they get a second, and TJ Bass will get us a second. I don't think TJ Bass could get you anywhere near a second. I do think that the league is hurting for offensive linemen, but they're hurting for tackles more than they're hurting for guards. TJ Bass is a nice depth piece. Maybe he's a starter on some teams. That's probably worth a 5th or 6th round pick, maybe a 6th round pick. And Brandon Aubrey, I think they're going to get the deal done. Although if I could get a 2nd round pick for Brandon Aubrey, call me a bad guy or whatever, I'd take that in a heartbeat. You want my kicker and you're going to give me a 2nd round pick? Take my kicker. Because in today's NFL, I do think it is far more likely, if you need a kicker, that you find a suitable kicker, then we're going through the year going, oh my God, we can't make a kick. I think it's way more likely that you just find a guy you find a guy. Can teams talk to Pickens already? All right, now I'm going to give you a scoop, okay? I believe the technical answer to this is no. Until you get to the tampering period, I believe the answer is no. But it doesn't matter. They're doing it. One of the names that the Cowboys are linked to in free agency, how do I say it without outing anybody? So the combine is a schmooze fest. Agents, front offices, all these people, they're just all hanging out and having a time, right? And they're absolutely positively talking about upcoming free agents, guys to trade for, things that they're not allowed to talk about. It's absolutely happening every single day. And because it was happening with an agent and a player is the reason that a certain player is being linked to Dallas. And yeah. So it happens constantly. Yeah. People in the chat know what I'm talking about. Not that any sort of deals are done with anybody necessarily, but just knowing that certain people are talking to certain people leads you to draw the line of, oh, there's interest here, that this could be the thing. All right, let's see here. Daniel Jeremiah's top 50 post-combine. So here's what I care about when I look at it. Who jumped? And if they jumped without having a great combine, what you know is that the NFL is more confident in these prospects than people who are ranking them, right? So guys who have moved, Sonny Styles moved up 2 spots to number 3 overall for Daniel Jeremiah. He has Sonny Styles ahead of Arvell Reese in his prospect rankings. I don't think it's realistic that Arvell Reese ends up at number 12 for the Cowboys. I think it's more realistic that he goes second than it is that he makes it to 12. But I wonder if it's not impossible. Because I've talked about this multiple times. The combine confirmed to me, in my mind, that Arvell Reese is a linebacker. And if Arvell Reese is a linebacker, the appeal of, oh boy, he's the next Micah Parsons fades because you're saying he's going to play linebacker. And if that's the case, I do think Sonny Styles is better at that job. At everything other than blitzing. I think Arvell Reese, when he's going after the quarterback, is really talented. Like the way that he can just destroy blocks and while doing it, have some bend to him and have an ability to finish. I think that's fairly unique to him. And maybe he can line up on the edge consistently and just do that. But they didn't ask him to a ton at Ohio State. He was more QB spying and setting an edge out there, which is kind of weird. But Sonny Styles moves up in Daniel Jeremiah's top 50 and probably makes it even more likely that there's no chance for the Cowboys. Carnell Tate moved up 1 spot despite running a 4.53, 4.54 40, whatever it was. And to be clear, I don't care about that 40 time. Carnell Tate's my wide receiver 1. After initial tape watching, I actually had Jordan Tyson. But the further along that we go with no testing and a lingering hamstring injury and an injury history for a guy that I thought it was a tight group at the top of wide receivers, I'll now go with the one that I felt safest about the whole way, which is Carnell Tate at Ohio State. A 4.5 is absolutely fine. CeeDee Lamb runs a 4.5. It's fine. It's totally fine. You don't need Adam Schefter to do the agent a favor and go give people's hand times for Carnell Tate. The hand times are always, from combine to pro day, it's about a 0.08 difference. Any scout that you texted about any player will tell you he had whatever player at 0.08 faster, give or take, than the combine time. So Carnell Tate's not unique in that way. Daniel Jeremiah had Ruben Bain move down 1 spot with the confirmation of the very short arms. He had Caleb Downs move up 1 spot. Despite not testing, he had Mansour Delane move down 1 spot. Francis Maui Noah goes up 2 spots. And now I'm just going to scroll and see if anybody jumped big. Kenyon Sadiq, the Oregon tight end, who I floated yesterday. If he made it to 20, can I pick him? If I do free agency right, I should have the ability to pick him at number 20, but I know they're going to invest big-time resources on defense this offseason, so probably not. Jermod McCoy drops 2 spots. Dylan Thieneman jumps up 6 spots to 17 for Daniel Jeremiah, and he's being mocked at 18 pretty much constantly to replace Harrison Smith in Minnesota, which that's racial. You're just trying to replace a white safety with a white safety, but you're also replacing a really good player with a really good player. Justin's in the super chat. Can they sign GP to a long-term deal after 7/15 if he never signs the tag? No, I don't think so. No, I think the tag rule is just that after July 15th, if no long-term deal is done, you lose the ability to do one. And so that's what could make this wonky. If they don't get one done by the 15th, I think that to David Mulugheta and George Pickens, you also lose your incentive to, like, you can be as annoying as you want on your way into the season. But if George has an injury or if George doesn't put up numbers this year for a guy who 3/4 of his NFL history is people considering him an issue or a problem, that doesn't serve you in getting paid. So if they don't get a long-term deal done, I think he's got to show up and he's got to put up numbers to try to go get his monies. And I don't think if he doesn't sign the tag, it changes anything. I like this guy, Anthony, because he used a cuss word and he's excited to be here. I like people who are excited to be here. Who would go with what you know? They haven't missed with a white safety. It's true. I floated the idea of having a Thieneman and Reed Blankenship on this team after free agency and after the draft, and I got shot down pretty quick. They said my friends that I do the show with, Jesse and Clarence, told me there's a limit. There's a number limit to how many of me's can be back there, and the limit's 1. So let me know in the chat if you agree with that, if 1 is the number. So Thieneman made a big jump. He now has Omar Cooper, the wide receiver out of Indiana, ahead of Jordan Tyson as wide receiver 3. And I think that's fair because, again, Omar Cooper was the guy that when I first watched him, everybody had Elijah Surratt, the other Indiana receiver, above him. And I have Omar Cooper as a top 20, top 25 player, and I have Surratt as more of 60 to 70, maybe 50 to 60. Both good players, but I liked Omar Cooper better immediately. And it's nice to see the world catching up to that because the guy who can do everything is very valuable. Can run decent routes, maybe even better than decent. After catch demon. There's not a big weakness in his game. Blake Miller moving up the board, which means get ready for the Clemson right tackle to be an absolute first-round pick. Monroe Freeling, the Georgia offensive tackle, moving up the board, so get ready for him to be a no-doubt first-round pick. Caden Proctor and Caleb Lemieux moving up the board. Get ready for all of these offensive tackles to be first-round picks. And the league clearly told Daniel Jeremiah that Denzel Boston is not going to go as high as he had him, so he dropped him 7 spots. He dropped C.J. Allen 4 spots. He brought T.J. Parker up 5 spots. He dropped Cassius Howell 7 spots. So when it comes to a pass rusher for the Cowboys, let me throw this name at you. At number 20, I think T.J. Parker kind of fits. Guy that can stand up and play outside linebacker opposite Ezraku. Does he have the twitched up, win outside sort of pass rush game? Not necessarily. He's more of a power player, but I think that's okay. I think that's possible at 20. The guys who I think Cowboys Nation was kind of down on, Keldrick Falk, TJ Parker, the guys who underperformed this year relative to what they were expected to be coming into this year, I think they both could kind of fit for the Cowboys. So I'll keep TJ Parker in mind at 20 or as a trade down candidate, if that's where he actually goes, because I think he is a fairly high floor player. Falk and Parker both are, where they're absolutely playing NFL football for a half decade or more. That's absolutely going to happen. It's just they're not the pass rusher that you thought they could be coming into this college football season. And I might like Parker more than Falk too at number 20. Because I do have the glaring hole opposite Ezraku as my stand-up outside. And Parker is a little bit smaller guy who you'd feel a little bit better if he was a guy that was dropping back, and you'd feel really good about setting the edge if you have your 3 bigs and TJ Parker is one of your outside guys. I wouldn't hate that at 20. Somebody said, give me R. Mason Thomas at 20. Wouldn't hate it. You're going to be sacrificing ability to set the edge for some twitch and some pass rush. Don't mind that. Height looked bad at the combine. Romello Height will be an interesting one because he's going to be a very undersized, non-edge setting pass rusher. And I bet he is a day 2 pick at some point. And so we'll see. I don't know, because I think most people already had him as like a 3rd round pick. And there, surely you'll take a swing on a guy that the Utah offensive tackles who are going to be 1st round picks, like they had problems blocking him. More problems than they had with David Bailey, if we're being honest. Let's see. What is this guy here? Jeff, the relevant question is whether 12, 20, and whatever you get with the additional salary is worth more than Crosby, Hendrickson, Downs, and Allen will sure as heck be better. Yeah, if you had Hendrickson and you got Downs and CJ Allen, would that be better than just Maxx Crosby? Probably. If things fall perfectly for you and you had Caleb Downs at 12, probably. Now, Hendrickson's getting older. He's getting older. I wonder if it's better for the Cowboys, all these O-line go early from William in the super chat. Yes, O-line going early is good. Ty Simpson going in the top 12 would be good. And Todd McShay thinks that's not impossible, that Ty Simpson could be a top 12 pick or a top 11 pick, I guess is what matters. And that would be great because somebody on Twitter asked me, what's your best case and worst case scenario? Worst case scenario for me is you get to 12, and I don't really have a worst case at 20. At 20, there's going to be plenty of guys that I'm like, sure, that works. That's just fine. At 12, I think the worst case scenario is no Styles, no Downs, no premium prospect regardless of position. Somebody still takes Bain. Mansour Delane is gone. Maybe Jermod McCoy too. So I guess my worst case scenario, if you let me make the pick, my worst case scenario is I would want them to pick Avion Terrell, the Clemson corner, at 12. And that probably feels a little bit early to me. I'd love him at 20. That probably feels a little bit early to me. The worst case scenario is they don't make that pick either, and they're just staring at the board going, oh, crap, our best players that are available play wide receiver, offensive tackle, tight end. The worst case scenario is like Francis Maui Noah makes it to 12, the Miami right tackle, and you won't pick him. I think that's the worst case scenario, because then you're sitting there going, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to pick a player that I would like to pick at 20, and I'm going to pick him at 12. 12 is going to be their weird pick. BB put the idea of trading 12 and a guy like Flanoy for Crosby to fill the X to go with Genty, Mendoza, and Bowers. 12 and Flanoy for Crosby. I could do that. If I do that, am I also freed up to pick a wide receiver? No, you're still going to want defense, aren't you? You're going to say my third wide receiver, whoever it is, will be fine. My best case scenario in this draft is that Caleb Downs or Ruben Bain makes it to 12. One, because he's a safety without elite measurables, or number two, because he's got the little tiny arms. My best case is that one of those guys falls to 12, and then I get Terrell at number 20. Or maybe you insert a different corner there. Or maybe you insert, like if it's Caleb Downs, I think you could still pick another secondary player at 20, because I think Caleb Downs will be your nickel. It may take Terrell off the board. Doesn't take Thieneman off the board. If you have Caleb Downs, I believe he's playing your nickel. Thieneman can play your deep safety next to either Hooker or whoever else ends up on this team. If Ruben Bain made it to 12, then the best case is that at 20, again, you're taking probably a secondary player. And I won't hate it. Like, I talk about this stuff a lot, and I want to be clear that I'm not contradicting myself too hard. I worry how many positions will be off limits for the Cowboys at 12. If your fifth or sixth best player is available, but you can't pick him because of the position that he plays, and you have 4 spots that are off limits to you: offensive line, defensive tackle, wide receiver, tight end, running back, like, if that's 5 positions, if all of those are off the table for the Cowboys, I think we're drafting wrong, and we didn't do free agency well enough. You got to have the ability to pick your best player, especially with your highest picks. At 20, I don't think it's as big a concern, because I very much believe that the best players available will line up just fine with what you need. So it won't be a big reach for whoever you pick. You may be picking your 17th best player over your 16th best player. That's okay. That's not a big deal. But if I'm picking my 12th best player over my 5th best player up there at the top, I do think that's a problem. And that's not a good deal for trying to make the best team that you can. I think that's silliness. Mike's in the super chat. This is good, boys. We're putting in mad work on the pool fund right now. This thing will be 21-5 in no time. On the Maxx deal, do we think the Raiders are smart enough to realize 12 and next year's 4 is more valuable than the first this year and next? They could be. I'd have to math that out, but you may be right, because 12 is going to be considerably more valuable than mid to late 20s. So that may be right. Plus, a bird in the hand is worth a bushel of birds in the bushes, or whatever. So you take, you want to get that one, the high one knocked out right now. But the thing is everything that I'm saying about number 12, the Raiders are going to feel that way too, except they probably are more open to taking any position. So maybe for them, a player like Kenyon Sadiq, a player like Francis Maui Noah, maybe a guard, Spencer Fano, maybe one of those guys holds more value than it does for the Cowboys. I think the 12th pick is a conundrum at this point. I would trade the 12th pick this year for the 12th pick next year in a heartbeat. And I'm blind to next year's draft. I don't even know. All I know is Jeremiah Smith is in it. I know it'll be a better quarterback class. I know it'll be a better, at the top, wide receiver class, maybe a pass rushing class, a lot of the premium positions. So, yeah. What the hell, Hefe say? I don't know what I said. What did I say? Oh, yeah, I guess they wouldn't need another tight end, huh? I told you, this is ADHD Cowboys. I changed the name of the channel. It's still my name, but then I added ADHD Cowboys. Just to be clear, I want people to know what they're getting here. I could start down the road on a topic and be locked in, and I'll squirrel in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. Is there anything else that I needed to knock out while I'm here? Nothing else that I needed. So we're just going to hang out in the chat for a second. Let me see. Was Booker the best player at 12 last year? I think it's possible that he was. Yeah, I think it's definitely possible that he was. And I think that they made the safe play on that one, which I go back and forth. In a perfect world, you want to pick premium positions with your premium picks. But for a team that is missing left and right, you tried to take a premium pick with Guyton at left tackle, and whoops, you went traits at a premium position. Mozzie's a non-premium position, and they picked a player that wasn't any good. Like, that's unfortunate. So, yeah, I think Booker might have been the best player on the board. A lot of teams will wait on a guard. I don't think he was a prospect to the level of like Zach Martin when they picked him 16. But I didn't have a problem with the Booker pick. I said before the draft, he was the name that I thought, because, at DLOS, and I should probably do this on my channel, like as a media company, you put an emphasis on your live shows, but also your little short thingies that you can put on the different social medias and the shorts on YouTube and all that. And so they were like, give me your ideal pick, your pick, and your surprise pick. And I picked Tyler Booker as my surprise pick that I didn't think people would be excited about, but I warned everybody ahead of time. But I think it'll be solid because you'll know what you're getting. You're going to get a guy that can help you immediately. What's Bland's trade value? I think very low. He is a well-compensated player with a lot of injury history that didn't play great last year. The Cowboys, when they make their here man damn signings, a lot of them tend to go this way. When they're struggling to get somebody signed that should be a priority, and they just go reach out to the guys that they like that are on the team, where it's like, hey, we want to do something for the fan base. Duron will sign. Offer him a decent deal. Jake will sign. Offer him a decent deal. And so they go do that stuff. Bland got 2 bad feet. Bad feet at corner's tough. You don't want to have bad feet at corner. You don't have bad feet anyway. Did you know, I don't know the average age of the listener. Tell me how old you are in the chat. I'm having my knee replaced on Wednesday. So I may do some opioid-fueled streams afterwards. Full replacement coming on Wednesday. And leading up to it, I hurt my back. You know how I hurt my back? Why don't you guess in the chat before I tell you? I'm 41 years old. How did I hurt my back? I'm telling y'all, if you're not in great shape, 40's coming for y'all. And it's different. It's different because I'm in decent shape. I just got a bum knee. I'm in decent shape. We have a guess of brushing my teeth. Whoa. Picking up the laundry. Slept wrong. Waking up. Carrying the DLLS podcast. That's a great guess. No more volleyball. I actually did play volleyball Sunday. As soon as I got back from the combine, I went straight to volleyball. But they tell me that the replacement will make me better at it. He was like, 6 months after, you want to go out there and dive around? Go do it. Drunk and a bum knee. Woke up, rolled out of bed, darts, taking care of the Latinas. That's a throwback to Photoshop of Jeff trying to break the thick Latinas out of the ice facility. All right, so the way that I hurt my back is I was just putting on shorts. I was going to Pilates. Grabbed the shorts I was going to wear, Fabletics, and I was pulling them on, but they were already tied. They were new, and I'd washed and dried them, but they didn't come untied. And so it was a little tight, and I was like, I had to get them up over here. So I kind of did a bend down and pull at the same time. Back. It's tough out here, guys. It's tough out here. Sneezing, that'll do it, though. Trying to tie your shoes, that'll do it. Physical therapist, knee replacements are tough. Recovery will be good. I will be good, though. I'll be a good patient this time for the first time in my life. My PT is going to start. I do the surgery Wednesday. PT starts Friday, but I'll do PT at the house at all times, too. Yeah, it's hard. I won't go to concerts where I have to stand. I won't go to bars if people don't have seating for me. My day-to-day life is bummy. What happened to your original knee? Tore my ACL on the travel flag circuit. I was one of the best receivers in the country. I'm not making that up. You can ask around. Tore my ACL, was a bad patient, and that was the beginning of the end. That led to no muscle, grinding out all the cartilage, microfracture times 3. Then I tore something called a plica, and it was just over. I've just been in there too many times. I'm just shot. I'm shot. All right, everybody, have a great day. Look at that. We survived it. I remembered how to solo broadcast, kind of. Hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed. Turn the notifications on. I heard some people saying they don't get. Oh, also on my page, I think now other people can post. Like just words. I should be way better at this if I'm going to make a living at this. But I think I turned on a community thing where other people can post. So if you want to interact and have fun, you can do it. I did put the sunny vibes out too much. All right, remember, you have no idea what anybody's going through. Be cool to everybody. I love you. Be easy.